Thanks, Riaz. Good morning. It is 6:30 on the dot. Ridge Meadows RCMP are investigating a possible hit and run after the discovery of a body off Lougheed Highway. The body was found in a ditch yesterday afternoon off the north side of the highway near 280th Street. A bike was also reportedly found on scene. The cause has yet to be confirmed, but initial indications suggest the person was hit by a vehicle. Coroner was called in, along with the RCMP's crash reconstruction team. Man found critically injured on the side of the Highway 1 in Burnaby early yesterday morning was apparently thrown from a car. RCMP are still trying to figure out whether he was pushed or if he jumped out of the vehicle near the Willingdon off-ramp. Mounties are looking for a beige pickup truck. A man in his 50s is in hospital with severe head injuries. The jihadist organization that has been beheading American journalists and causing other terror in the Middle East appears to have a BC connection. A former student at Thompson Rivers University in Kamloops has apparently gone off to fight in Syria with ISIS. The news is said to be a shock to those who knew Colin Gordon. He's originally from Calgary. His brother Gregory has also reportedly joined the ranks of foreign fighters with the Islamic State of Iraq and Syria.
We just sat there and we thought, how did Colin end up from hip-hop party lover and, someone who just wants to be at TRU to Syria and ISIS? We couldn't make the connection. We were just lost.
A young Surrey mother has been arrested on allegations of shocking child neglect. The 23-year-old has appeared in court charged with, quote, failure to provide the necessities of life and criminal negligence causing bodily harm. RCMP were notified when the woman's 2-year-old son was taken to hospital in June, allegedly with the body mass of a baby.
Fair to say that the medical personnel at the local area hospital where the child was brought were deemed that the neglect was obvious and severe enough to contact the authorities immediately.
A publication ban is in effect on many details in this case, but the boy's condition has improved. He's still in hospital, but is under the care of the Ministry of Children and Families. Two sides in the BC teachers' dispute are talking, just not to each other. The war of words continues in the media with the Premier breaking her silence.
They're the only ones that can do that. The only ones who can end this strike or suspend it is the teachers' union.
We're not suspending any strike right now. We're also locked out. You have to remember, teachers are locked out.
Christy Clark urged teachers to end their strike and return to the bargaining table with more realistic expectations, a request that was promptly denied. The Premier feels they're asking for too much but isn't prepared to legislate an end to the dispute.
There's a lot of emotion involved in every labor negotiation, but it's most important for the leadership at the teachers' union and in government to set aside the emotion that's involved and set aside getting tripped up on things that are outside of the core issues.
I can see some of the cynicism sometimes with the public, and maybe we're in the media too much. And because maybe we should be bargaining rather than being out here.
As public rallies continue around the province, children and adults held a special walk for education at Holland Park in Surrey last night. The gathering was intended to serve as a reminder of the lost class time for kids.
There are groups that's supporting the teachers, there are groups that's supporting the government, and we're taking no sides. We're just saying we want kids to back, they should be back in school, and they're not. And for that, what can we do? And we thought this is the one avenue that we can take to put pressure on both parties.
So how will all of this end? A UBC labor expert is chiming in on the teachers' dispute. Greg Harper joins us live from Coquitlam with more on that. Greg?
Good morning, Jody. I'm just outside Hillcrest Middle School in Coquitlam, and I've talked to the teachers who are on the picket line here behind me this morning, and they say they are prepared for a lengthy dispute, are prepared to ride this out for however long it takes. But how long will this dispute go on for remains the big question. Well, the only way it ends, according to one labor expert, is when the government decides to legislate teachers back to work. This is how Mark Thompson out at UBC feels about it. He says binding arbitration isn't an option because the government won't allow a third party to settle the dispute with so much taxpayers' money on the line. Thompson says the divide is too wide, with teachers insisting on the money promised in a Supreme Court decision and the government wanting to wait for its appeal. He also says the BCTF's demand for a higher wage increase, including a $5,000 signing bonus, more than other public sector employees have received, is unrealistic.
I think the structure is fatally flawed, and the parties certainly don't have enough trust in each other to try to devise a new structure. So, you know, other people have taken a look at this and come up with proposals that were not acceptable. So for the time being, I don't see any way out.
The direction or lack of direction that's happening, right? I think the Premier had an opportunity to bring sides together, and instead she pushed them farther apart.
It doesn't seem as though there's an exit strategy on either side. It seems that everybody's quite entrenched, and you know, when I listened to Christy Clark speak yesterday, it didn't seem like there's anything new coming from government. It seems like there's been movement on the side of the teachers.
Education Minister Peter Fassbender will be in our studio at around 7:40 this morning. Jody?